So every year around this time, it's November, I start thinking about Christmas presents. I like to make Christmas presents. So today, for you guys out there that like to do a little bit of woodworking, I want to share with you a fairly simple gift idea that I've come up with. I've been doing the same thing for years, never gets old. So come on into the shop. Christmas is coming. I don't know about you guys out there, but I am all about making Christmas presents. One of the presents that I like to make is I like to make spoons and spatulas and kitchen utensils. And the reason why is because if you give one of these to somebody, for the rest of their lives, until they break it or lose it, they pull it out periodically. And every time they pull it out, they think of you. So now I have a friend who messaged me the other day, and she said, quote, "I wish I could make things." Now she was referring to the fact that I was making some stuff and she wished that she was capable of it. Now that's the first problem. Anybody who says they can't, well, they won't. No matter what it is, if you say you can't do something, you won't do it. You won't be able to do it because you've already set a precedent in your mind. Something as simple as making a spoon. You know, a lot of you say, oh, that's too complicated. I don't have the tools. I don't have this. I don't have that. Well, it can be simple tools like this, or if you've got more elaborate tools, which I have, you can utilize them. But, you know, there's something very, I don't know, it's very satisfying about just taking a mallet and a chisel and just, you know, it's kind of a Zen type of a thing. You know, I just sit there and I kind of work at it for a little bit and smooth it out. And you know, these spoons, they can take hours to do, which makes them all that better of a Christmas present. Sure, you can go out and buy a wooden spoon that's manufactured by some, you know, foreign outfit that pumps them out and has a machine that just bangs them out. But there's no emotion. There's no sentimentality to it. There's no sweat involved. Not that this is a occupation or a activity that produces a lot of sweat, but you can see it's fairly simple. Sharp tools, very critical. I just went and sharpened that, and what a difference it makes. The wood that I'm choosing is kind of interesting. This particular piece of wood is recognized as a type of wood that's been used for medical instruments and very, very precise tooling, box rulers, and kitchen utensils for a long time. It's not a real special looking wood, but it's a very strong, very durable, tight grain wood. It carves well. It carves hard, which is good. It's a strong wood. This is pear wood. It's actually an ornamental pear. It's not a fruit-bearing pear. Well, tiny little fruits that are non-edible, but this is a tree that has been planted everywhere across the country and is prone to some problems. Some of the problems are that they grow really tight crotches. They grow in such a way that they self-destruct. So a lot of these trees are being removed. And the wood is taken to the dump or possibly used as firewood. But a lot of people don't see the value in it. It's kind of a difficult wood to cure in big lengths because it kind of twists and turns and moves a little bit. But once it's stable, it stays stable. Got to tighten that up a little bit more than that. Now I'm using a machinist vise here because I don't care about the size because I'm going to continue to grind these down. I would use a woodworking vise if I was going to be working on closer to a finished product. But this particular vise, I have it set up in my other vise at a height that is really easy for me to work. If I was down here, I'd be bending over. But up here, you know, it's very simple for me to keep working on this. And if I wasn't talking to you on the camera, I'd probably be done with this by now. I want to show you a few more of the tools that I have that I'm making. Here's a few tools that I'm putting together, kitchen utensil tools, and they're all in different stages. And you can see that one is still just cut out on the bandsaw. I haven't ground it, I haven't polished it, I haven't done any rounding over. And it's not hard to do that kind of stuff. You know, if you've got a bandsaw, you can cut out blanks like this out of firewood. Pick a good solid piece of wood that you're going to work with. But yeah, there's one. This is black locust. These are all pear wood, pear. I've got a whole bunch of pear. Not even sure what I'm going to do with that one, but you know what? If you get creative, even a small piece like that could be turned into something. Maybe a scraper. This is a cool little tool. This is the first one I've ever made of this. This is a kitchen scraper. All of these things work really good as kitchen scrapers, and there's lots of pots and pans that you don't want to use metal on. And even some of the plastic scrapers and spatulas they have now are not quite as good. But this will not scratch the pan. It will not scratch the surface. And because it's easily resharpenable, all of these are, just take them to the sander, boom, boom, they're ready to go. These things are so useful. I've got about 6 of them in my kitchen. I've given them to lots of my relatives. Everybody loves these things. The fact that they're kind of funky, the fact that they're all different. This one I'm doing kind of a rough grip to. I'm not even sure where I'm going with it. See, I'm not planning these things out. I'm not going at them and using templates and shaping them all exactly the same. Everyone is unique. Everyone is different. And when people get them as a Christmas present, they look at them and say, well, first off, they look at that and say, what is it? Then you explain it to them. They kind of go, oh. But the first time they use that on a pan that they burned some eggs on, they're going to thank you. And every time they use it, they're going to thank you. And it's going to sit someplace in their kitchen. And every time it comes out, they're going to say, thank you, Blair, or whatever your name is. Now, this is the one I've been working on here. I'm going to do a little bit of shaping on my sander. I've got aggressive sandpaper on there. It's fairly new sandpaper. And I do have this set up with the dust collection in the shop. I'm going to turn that on. Make a little bit of noise. And I'll show you how I can quickly shape this into something closer to a spoon. Dirty, dusty work, use your mask. Anyway, that's where I'm at right now. It's still got an hour or so to go, but now I can switch off to my handheld sanders. I've got a really nice Festool Rotex sander, which I know maybe some of you can't afford, but it's a great sander, very aggressive. But I also use Dremel tools. Now you could use the Dremel tool for sculpting the inside of this if you don't have the chisels or don't want to. And you can also use the Dremel tool for shaping the outside of it. I've got the sanding drum on here right now. It's not plugged in. I've also got little sanders. This is a little tiny electric sander. This is a Ryobi. I think it's about $50. Now, this thing really works good for doing some of the detail stuff. And you can hold it. It's a nice, safe way of working. I have a whole collection of Dremel bits and sharpening pieces and cutting pieces that I've put together over a long period of time. But Christmas presents, you know, think about homemade Christmas presents. And I tell you, when I go over a friend's house or a relative's house and I go in and I see my spoon or my spatula or whatever I made for them sitting prominently in the kitchen, might even be a cutting board, I know that every time they use that, they say to themselves, "Oh, thank you, Blair." Christmas presents, get ready, it's coming. All right, let me show you a few of the spoons that I've made. First one I want to show you is not one that I made, but a friend of mine gave this to me 20 years ago. His name is Ed Vincent. And if you look up Ed Vincent, V-I-N-C-E-N-T, on YouTube, I did a video of him years ago that you would really enjoy reading. He was a pilot. He was a B-29 pilot in World War II, and he tells his story. Here's a piece that I made for my wife last year. It took me quite a while to get that all cleaned out. I've probably got 4 or 5 hours into this little cherry ladle here. Here's one that I made. It's made out of oak. You can see it's got a lot of use to it. These are some of the spatulas I make, and they all need to be resharpened. You can see that they're getting kind of dull, but these are made out of that same pear wood. And by the way, I just use mineral oil on them. This one was just washed. It's still a little bit wet. I don't put them in the dishwasher because I don't want the heat to cause them to crack. Here's another spoon that I made. I didn't put quite as much effort into this one. Some more spatulas. That one's on its way out. That one's just about ready to crack. I'm going to toss that one. And here's some that I made out of kind of an inferior wood, and I'm sorry I made them because they're not as durable. These were spalted walnut, and this is also an inferior wood. It should have been a good wood. This is Casuarina equistifolia, horsetail beef wood. So there's just a few of them. I've made 40 or 50 or more of these over the years, and every one of them you can say thank you to the person who made it. And every time I use this spoon, or my wife uses this spoon, pulls it out, I think of 97-year-old Ed Vincent, who's still going strong today.